Funnel builders, so when a customer says to you, that's too expensive or I can't afford that, did you know that's actually not an objection? Mike here from sellyourservice.co.uk, and today I want to tell you how to react when a customer says that's too expensive or they can't afford it, and why it's not an objection. So the problem is that a lot of the time when customers are going through the closing process with us, and I'll talk a little bit more about the difference between closing and selling in another video, but whenever we're in the closing process and we say to the customer, okay, this is going to be $25,000 or $100,000 or whatever the price is, and they'll go, oh wow, that's pretty expensive. A lot of sales coaches out there are going to tell you that that's an objection. Now, previously in other videos, I have said that it's an objection. In truth, it's not. Saying it's too expensive or saying that something they can't afford the product or they don't have the money to afford the product is not an objection. An objection is a reason why they don't trust you to deliver the product. And often when someone says, oh, it's expensive, or it seems like it's a lot of money, or we can't afford that, or we didn't expect it to be that much, I've often said in the past that that's your fault. And that's still entirely true. It's still your fault to understand what your customer's budget is. But a lot of the time when customers say, that seems really expensive, I don't know if I can afford that, we didn't really expect it to be that much, we don't have that much money in the account right now, they're expecting you to come back to turn that objection. 99% of the time, it's simply because they don't trust you, and there's an element of the buying process which you haven't clarified with them, and that you haven't gone out of your way to explain why this is the best deal in the universe, and that you're going to over deliver on the amount of money that they're going to put in. But here's what most sales coaches will teach you. They'll teach you that someone saying that's expensive or they can't afford that, they'll say that that's an objection, and you need to turn that objection. And some of the easiest ways we know how to turn an objection are things like feel, felt, found. So we'll say, hey, I totally understand how you feel. A lot of customers felt the same way, but what we found is that the value we're going to deliver through this funnel project is going to outpay that $25,000 initial investment hundreds and hundreds of times. But it's not an objection. Saying something is too expensive or that they haven't got the money is not an objection. It's a problem. The way you want to frame this is by understanding that the customer saying that this is expensive is their problem. That's a framework in their state of mind that they perceive your product as expensive. Now, a lot of the time we could say, yeah, but if you deliver on the value and you promise them everything and you say it's going to be the best possible investment of all time and it's going to do wonders for their business, they're going to go, oh yeah, absolutely. Well, then this is definitely worth the money. It's not expensive. But a lot of the time, customers are still going to say to you, wow, this seems expensive. That's a lot of money. And do you know the way that I get around that? I agree with them, and then I tell them to sign and send a deposit. So when a customer says to me, wow, that's a lot of money, that's pretty expensive, I don't know if we've got that in the account right now. Yeah, I totally agree, man, it is expensive. What isn't nowadays? Here's, sign this and send us a deposit. That's the way that you want to start framing this particular problem, not an objection, to your customers. An objection is when they say, okay, well, how is it that we're going to be able to convert followers from Facebook into leads? I don't really understand that process. That's an objection. That's a valid objection of something that you haven't covered. You could be the best salesperson in the world, deliver the most comprehensive, in-depth, value-driven pitch ever, and for the customer could still turn around to you and say, this doesn't seem like it's worth it. I don't know if we've got this kind of money. That's their problem. Money is their problem. Their money is their problem. Their money isn't your problem. Their money is their problem. So if they come around to you and say, that seems very expensive, that seems like it's a lot of money, you agree with them. You go, yeah, it is expensive. Yeah, it is a lot of money. Yeah, I don't doubt that you don't have that in the account right now. Sign here, give us the deposit. Instead, what they want to do is voice their opinions. And a lot of the time, it's kind of like that final mode of rejection that kids use before doing what their parents are telling them to do. When you say, hey man, we've got to go, put your shoes on, we're going to get in the car, and they kind of mill around. Teenagers are really good at this. They're like, oh my God. And they sort of like do everything they can to lengthen the process where they still feel like they're in control. They feel like they need to give that final little bit of resistance before succumbing to your level of control. That's what that problem is. That's what the customer is saying when they go, yeah, this is pretty expensive. So when a customer does say to you, wow, this seems really expensive, it's really difficult for us. And a lot of sales coaches will teach you need to do one of two things. Either first turn the objection, or secondly, and I've even seen some coaches do this, back down and negotiate down on your price. Neither of those two are an option, partly because it's not an objection. Someone saying that this is expensive or it's a lot of money or they don't know if they've got the money in their account right now is not an objection, it's a problem. And you solve problems in a very different way. If someone said to you, oh, I don't know if I've got the right kind of laptop to be able to agree with this, that's a problem and it's something you'd be able to solve. You'd go, well, actually, you won't need really a laptop because we're going to be building it, but also I can help you find the right kind of laptop. You don't even need something that spectacular. Or they go, man, my iPad is so slow at loading, it won't even load your sales page. You go, yeah, I agree. Yeah, iPads suck, don't they? Their bandwidth is really, really bad. Anyway, sign here, give us a deposit. They're giving you a problem and they want you to solve that problem. This is not necessarily a case of them going, oh, this seems really expensive, can we reduce it? That's a very different question. When they talk to you, because they'll never say that. Customers will never say that. And the reason they won't say that is because they don't want you to reduce the work that you're putting in. If a customer does say to you, oh, this $25,000, it seems a little bit much. I was wondering if we could bring the price down a bit. You can go, again, agree. The key to getting the deal, the key to getting an agreement is to agree. You go, of course, yeah, we can bring the price down. What elements of the delivery of the proposal do you want to get rid of? If you want to bring this down to $20,000, we can get rid of the sales page and the sales email automation crafting. We can get rid of all of that and you'll just be left with the $20,000 that's left. How does that sound? They won't want to do it. They'll say, we kind of wanted to keep all of it, but pay less. And you go, oh, I'm really sorry. We can't do that. It is expensive. Sign here. The difference is knowing when to sell and when to close. And when the customer is telling you, hey man, this seems a little bit expensive. I'm not sure if we can afford this. You agree with them. You go, yep, I totally agree. What isn't expensive in today's day and age? You know, everything seems to be running at a high premium price, especially premium products. Anyway, sign here, send us over the deposit and we can get started today. You're moving past that turning the objection stage and you're helping them understand that, yeah, we have a lot of people tell us that this is a big investment. I understand the level of trust and commitment that you're putting into this project. I'm planning on putting in more than that. Me and my team are going to put in more than the money you're putting in because you're going to walk away with more than $25,000 worth of value. But here's what a lot of people do. The mistake that a lot of people make is that when the customer says that seems very expensive, they'll go back to selling. They'll go back to saying, well, you see, the value you've got is we've got this amazing landing page sequence and you're going to be able to drive leads and you're going to be able to drive sales and we're going to build out your sales automation process. And obviously we've got consultation and design and blah, 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 and all of that stuff. None of that matters. What you need to be working on is agreeing with the customer and saying, yeah, I agree. It is expensive. Here, sign here, send us over the deposit. Now, sometimes some sales coaches will teach you to say, okay, well, how important is that to you to the closing of the project? And they'll go, well, it's pretty much the only important thing. And you go, right, okay. And you've dug yourself into a corner there that you're unable to get out of. Rather than trying to turn the objection or be clever or work around it, or worst comes to worst, go back to selling, which is the absolute last thing you should be doing, by the way. When you're at the sales stage and someone says to you, yeah, this sounds great, send us over the proposal, that's the closing stage. You don't sell anymore. That's the stage where you say, send over the deposit, sign here, we can get started on this today. When a customer is saying to you, I don't know, this seems a little bit expensive, don't go back to trying to sell them again because it's still going to be expensive when they go through it. They're still going to be unsure if they've got the money when you go back to that final closing stage. So instead, what you need to say to them is, yeah, I agree. It is expensive. What isn't today, right? Anyway, sign here. Here's the deposit. What you need to be doing is getting them over that line. And if they need to make up a story about saying how there's hardly any money in the account or they're not entirely sure, don't go back to asking questions. Don't say to them, oh, but you told me you had $25,000. Don't worry about any of that. When someone says it's expensive, agree with them and then say, we can get started today. Here, sign here, give us the deposit. I can even take a payment via credit card. The deal that you need to be working on is being in a hurry to help your customers. You need to be in the position whereby you're saying to your customers, I know this is expensive. I'm taking as much risk as you are. This is why I need you to sign today and pay today, because I'm going to be able to fix whatever's broken in your business. I'm going to be able to take whatever's broken in your business and fix it. I'm going to be able to give you solutions and results and all this kind of stuff. But going back over that, that's not going to change anything. Any customer that says, wow, that's fantastic, thanks very much, let's go ahead, That's brilliant. That's going to happen 99% of the time. Here's what's interesting. When you start making offers to customers and you've got a bunch of people in your email list or in your address book or your to-do list where you think, I really should be emailing them and saying, hey, do you want me to send over a proposal? Would you like me to send over a pitch with you? I'd love to go over these final details. Send that over to them. Great. We can get started today with a deposit and a signature. Here's the deposit, here's the signature, and you hand it to them. If they then go, this seems a little expensive, agree with them and then push the contract to them again, they're going to be fine with it. You're taking control of the situation. It's a bit like dogs. They can smell fear, they can smell, hesitation, they can smell anxiety, but if you're confident, you go, yeah, I agree, it is pretty expensive, but premium products are. Anyway, sign here, give me the deposit. But most of the time people won't. Most of the time actually people are willing to sign that. If it's like crazy over and they go, wow, we were expecting like $10,000, that's your fault because you haven't qualified them enough. But when a customer tells you this seems very expensive, that's not an objection, so you don't need to turn it. You need to agree with them and then continue that closing process by giving them the deposit, the card machine, whatever it is, your PayPal details, whatever, and getting them to sign a contract. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I know I've taken a bit of a break after doing 109 videos, 109 days in a row. In the meantime, I'm going to continue uploading a few times a week. Got a slightly different YouTube strategy that I'm very excited to share with you guys. Every Sunday, by the way, I'm posting videos on how to build and sell an online course because we've got our brand new course on building a successful profitable marketing funnel business. If you're new, consider subscribing. Hey there. And it really helps me out if you hit the like button. That's kind of the main thing we're going for at the moment. In the meantime, I've probably got a couple of videos either side, so stick around. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much. Keep building those funnels.